Leave it to five-time NBA champion Kobe Bryant to upstage the National Football League on an NFL Sunday. Social media blew up when Kobe announced his retirement at the end of the season on the Players Tribune website. In a letter addressed to the game of basketball, Kobe says, "You gave a 6-year-old boy his Laker dream, and I'll always love you for it. But I can't love you obsessively for much longer. This season is all I have left to give. My heart can take the pounding, my mind can handle the grind, but my body knows it's time to say goodbye." Kobe, third all-time on the NBA scoring list, will hang him up after this season. Stephen A., how surprising was his announcement right now?
I wasn't that surprised. I was more sad than surprised. As far as I'm concerned, it came obviously a little bit too late, but it is what it is. He's earned the right to do that. It was something that, he came into this season with the mentality that he was trying to discover what exactly he had left. He knew the work that he put in. He knew he was getting tired of the conditioning and what it took to be ready. But the reward would be him being able to go out on that court and perform the way we're accustomed to seeing Kobe Bryant perform. And it didn't take long to realize that he just couldn't do that anymore, that his body wouldn't allow him to be what we were accustomed to seeing him be. He thought that he would have more left because the last 2 years he had played a grand total of 41 games, 6 a couple of years ago, just 35 last year or so. And he just thought that he would have an opportunity to do more. Even though it was his 20th year in the league, it was really like his 18th because he didn't have to play those previous 2 years. But you got to remember, he was accustomed to being a champion, or at least a championship contender. He's a 5-time champion. He's been in numerous NBA conference finals as well as NBA finals, been in 7 NBA finals. And so a lot of times he had those extra seasons. And in the end, he thought that he would have more left, and maybe he'd even entertain playing an additional season beyond this one. And when he quickly realized that wasn't the case, one could surmise he hearkened back in his own mind to what he had told me on many, many occasions, privately and publicly, and that was that he would never stick around and be just an average player. He wouldn't have to be told by others it was over. He would recognize it himself. And I think that's the reason that the announcement came, Skip, right now, because he heard the rumblings, he heard what people were saying, but more importantly, he looked in the mirror and he knew what he saw and what he felt. And as a result, just letting everybody know that he's not walking around lying to himself, fooling himself, that it was over, he knows, is enough for him. My preference, as I echoed to him on several occasions over the last week, both privately and publicly, was that he retire immediately and go, because I don't believe that Jim Buss deserves him. But nevertheless, he said that he would never walk out. He said, "You know me, I'm a ride and die kind of dude, and I'm not gonna jump ship and abandon the troops like that. I'm gonna complete this season come hell or high water. I don't care if I gotta work out in the gym, we're practicing with them, if I gotta be on the court with them during games, if I gotta talk to them off the court, whatever it takes. I'm not going to abandon my troops." That's what he said. And so that's his mentality. He has a right to do that, has a right to feel that way. And all we could do is wish him nothing but the best moving forward and thank him for the wonderful years that he's given us, because he gave us a lot.
Yes, he did. By the way, you said last week you wanted him to stop now, in part so he might save himself to play one more year elsewhere with a contender, right?
If he chose to do that, fine.
Okay.
But what I was saying is but I had no problem with him retiring and saying, this just ain't worth it anymore. It's time for me to go.
I got it. So you're sure this is it? There's no other team left here. This is the end. I'm with you on this.
It's over.
Okay.
It's over.
And I hope Kobe realizes, and I'm sure he does, he didn't fail this year. His body failed him. It's as simple as that. And the shock is not that he's announcing his retirement now. My shock was watching Kobe in game 1, 2, 3. I thought game 1 he looked okay. Game 2 and 3, I started to say, wait a minute. That doesn't look right. And finally, his body betrayed him. And you know as well as anybody, Stephen A., he went through the ruptured Achilles and both knees and then the shoulder. It was just too much surgery to bounce back from after all those literally, effectively millions of NBA miles on his body compared to other greats who have played. And I loved it that he chose now, and I think he chose now for a couple of reasons. But number one is you're going to be there tomorrow night in Philadelphia. I think Kobe wanted it known ahead of his last game back in his home. Can we call it his hometown or home area? I guess it's he's not from inner city Philadelphia, but what is it?
No, he's not.
Lower Marion out on the
Lower Marion.
the main
Lower
line.
Marion.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So I think it will mean a whole lot to Kobe Bryant to get to do this tomorrow night with everybody knowing full well this is the end. This is his last trip home because they're obviously going to only play the one game in Philly in the Eastern Conference. And again, he loves the Players Tribune because he, I think, recently invested in it. So it was a great stage for him to do this on his website. And I got to congratulate Kobe also on the way he wrote his retirement announcement. It's an open letter to Dear Basketball, and he wrote it in sort of free-form verse, not rhyming verse, but just verse. It's beautifully done. It is highly creative, it's artful, and it indicates to me what a great mind Kobe has beyond basketball, and I hope we see some of that mind at work, and I'm assuming we will, in the near future. Whatever creative vein he wants to pursue, be it movie making with Spike Lee, who knows what it will be. But Kobe has an extremely deep and creative mind that we don't always get to see just in the basketball context. And then Stephen A., I'm happy for him because, look, Kobe's got a big ego like any other superstar does, and he's one of the all-time greats, obviously, and he deserves this. He needs to be celebrated. He needs to be honored. He needs to be thanked at stop after stop after stop. And if he held off until after the year's over and then he decided, you know what, this just isn't working anymore, he would miss all those opportunities to be thanked by all those away crowds. And trust me, he'll get a lot of gifts, and the gifts won't mean anything to him because I'm sure he's got plenty of money. But the thank yous from those crowds, the ovations from those crowds will mean everything to Kobe Bryant, and they should. So I'm happy he chose to do it now because we all agree it's over.
Well, there's two things. Number one, I'm not happy now because I wish he had announced this before New York because I think
fair.
Madison Square Garden would have shown a level of appreciation to him that would have rivaled any place, anywhere. That's number one. Number two, and I'm going to hold on to this, Skip. I'm not going to change my mind. I'm not playing games. I'm very, very adamant about this. I think that the Lakers as an organization, how they allowed this man's career to end, I don't think that should go unnoticed. And I don't think that should go unspoken about. And I don't mean the Lakers organization in its entirety. I'm just talking about Jim Buss. I'm talking about people that allow their emotions to get in the way. I'm talking about Jeannie Buss, who loves Kobe, adores Kobe, and you know, will always have a place in her heart and in her organization for Kobe, who could have made things better for him by dealing with her brother and failed to do so. For Kobe Bryant to go out 27 wins one year, 21 wins last year, 2-14 this year, to be bereft of talent the way that they were, to give him absolutely nothing to work with so he could at least go out on a competitive platform. I just think it's an indictment against what the Lakers organization has regressed into. And I can't say enough about that. That's part of the sadness with all of this, because you see, Skip, if you were playing with better players, you might not have been as exposed. And you might have been able to gloss over some of those things that Father Time had taken away from him. And you still would have been out there, and there would have been a zest to perform without the burden of having to try and carry a load you simply weren't physically able to carry any longer. But unfortunately, he kept trying to have to go out there, and it was a way for the Lakers organization to make money and to get people to walk through the turnstiles because you had nothing to offer but a guy past the age of 35, coming off an Achilles 1 year, knee injuries and shoulder injuries the next year, and ultimately leaving him with little to nothing to work with. And I will never, ever forget how, and I said this to Kobe, by the way, you know, and that's response, that communication is between he and I, but I'll tell you what I said. It's a travesty what was done to him as it all ended. And it's pretty damn close to unforgivable, to be quite honest with you, what Jim Buss allowed the Lakers to do to this man as his career waned. It's really, really sad.
I hear what you say, and you've said it many, many times on this show, but I feel compelled to defend Jim Buss a little, not a lot.
Please.
It's possible, and I can certainly make the case, a strong case, that he put too much stock in what was left of Kobe Bryant, because they gave this man his money. What is it? I don't even know. I'm losing track. Is he $25 million this year?
25. It's $25 million this year. It was 23.5 last year. 48.5 overall for 2 years.
That's a lot of money, and I'm assuming that Jim Buss was still so in awe of Kobe Bryant, not only as a box office draw, but as a potential free agent magnet for great players to come join him in L.A., that Jim Buss kept saying to himself, we'll be okay because we still got Kobe, and he's still our draw at the box office and on the free agent market. And as you know, that just didn't happen. Now, you can take all kinds of issues with the drafting, and I already did, not in 2020 hindsight, but I said D'Angelo Russell's not that guy. He's not that pick in the draft, and he hasn't been so far. Maybe he'll grow up and figure it out, but he hasn't yet. So that didn't help Kobe at all to have somebody to run the show. This rookie is not ready to run that show. So I think Jim Buss was as shocked as we were, if not more so, at what he didn't see from Kobe in games 2, 3, 4, and 5. So can you condemn him for saying, I think Kobe's going to be great this year?
Yes. No. That's not the reason you condemn him. Please don't get me wrong. And I'm going to be fair to Jim Buss in slicing him up. And let me explain to you how. Skip Bayless, when you talk about the money that he gave Kobe, and you're talking about him placing that faith in Kobe, did it ever occur to you that he had to place that faith in Kobe because of what he was incapable of doing in terms of acquiring free agents to want to come to Los Angeles? Now, we've heard Nelly and others allude to how much of a role Kobe may have played in guys not wanting to come to L.A. That, well, you know, that Nelly knows, and that to some degree anyway, and that's fair. He's not wrong. What I'm saying to you is that I repeatedly asked this question over and over and over again. Kobe Bryant, his DNA identical to what it has always been. If Dr. Jerry Buss was still alive, God rest his soul, are we talking about the Lakers being devoid or bereft of talent? No, we're not. We're not talking about a Phil Jackson being gone in favor of Mike Brown. We're not talking about Phil Jackson's return being squashed in favor of Mike D'Antoni. We're not talking about a Dwight Howard who literally told you, look, you said this is my franchise moving forward. I would like Phil Jackson to come here and help me be a better player. And instead, you brought Mike D'Antoni. We're not talking about that. We're not talking about prospective free agents coming to work out for the Los Angeles Lakers, seeing Jeannie Buss and Jim Buss in the same gymnasium, but on opposite ends of the court from one another, with a dysfunctional environment literally pervading the basketball organization like a virus. We're not talking about all of those things. We're not talking about an ownership that nobody trusts, that agents laugh at, that people look at and say, will you please move aside and let Mitch Kupchak do his job? Will you please move aside and get Jerry West to come back here, and Jerry West with his protege Mitch Kupchak can rebuild this franchise? Will you please do those things? Now, I know Jerry West was on the record coming to the defense of Jim Buss. I respectfully disagree with one of the greatest executives to have ever played this game. Because if Jerry West was completely honest, he would have told you the whole story. I can't repeat the stories because it would be personally inappropriate for me to repeat the stories of how Jim Buss exercised such a dereliction of duty. It completely compromised the success of Laker Nation and the Lakers organization. And all of that was while you had Kobe to lean on to get people to walk through the turnstiles. The Lakers need to give folks back their money based on the product that they put out there over the last 3 years. And it's a damn shame because Mitch Kupchak is a good GM. And there's a lot of people within the Lakers organization that are very good and are very competent at their job that had to succumb to the will of a guy in Jim Buss who, by the way, I believe actually knows a thing or two about basketball. His knowledge is not the problem. It was the fact that he allowed his personal feelings to get in the way of what would automatically facilitate the success of the Lakers, and in this particular instance, Kobe Bryant. I am making the accusation that Jim Buss literally wasted the last 3 to 4 years of Kobe Bryant's career. Even if Kobe Bryant were healthy, he still had no shot to win a championship because of the decisions Jim Buss facilitated making. That is the crime in all of this. And I don't care what anybody says. I'm not asking y'all. I'm telling y'all. And any time that Jim Buss wants to sit there and debate, don't go to USA Today or somebody else where they can print your quotes. Come on up to the big house. Come on up there. Let's have that debate in front of the masses. He'd never do it because he'd have to answer for some of the decisions that he's made that wasted away the waning years of Kobe Bryant's career. It's unforgivable. It's unforgivable. And I will never deviate from that position. I don't care who asks me to.
So you do live in the big house. We know that, right? Is that what you're suggesting?
This is the big house.
This is
First
the big
take.
house. All right.
This is the big house. First take. That's right. In the big house.
I got it. I got it. Bottom line, what was a sad exit for Kobe Bryant can now turn into a heartwarming swan song for Kobe Bryant.
He's a legend. He's going to be sorely...
Upon which by the way, one which Jim Buss and the Lakers will profit off of, by the way. Let's not forget that.
Sure.
He will be sorely missed. And to your earlier point, Skip, I'm looking forward to his next chapter because he's brilliant, and I think he will continue to do big things in another area. And I appreciate him letting fans know now, so we have an opportunity to go see him on the court in person one last time. And to that point, in the 2 hours after Brian's announcement, the cheapest ticket to what would be his final game, that's April 13th against the Utah Jazz at home in the Staples Center, it's already tripled. So I'm going to make sure to go to a Lakers game as well. Moving on, though, Russell Wilson and the Seahawks steal a win from Pittsburgh Sunday. So is Seattle back on track for another Super Bowl run? Don't miss that discussion when we come back. This is First Take.